Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Jordan Ellis had it all. The corner office on the 34th floor, the sleek apartment overlooking the city, the kind of smile that made strangers feel like old friends. For 6 years, Jordan had been the golden child of Meridian marketing, the person everyone wanted to be, the person everyone wanted to know. But behind that perfectly ironed blazer was a secret so enormous, so carefully buried, that when it finally surfaced, it didn't just rock the company, it changed everything. It started, as most catastrophic unravelings do, with something small, a sticky note. Lena Park, the new junior copywriter, had been staying late on a Thursday, the kind of unremarkable Thursday nobody ever remembers, when she accidentally knocked Jordan's leather portfolio off the conference table. Papers scattered. Lena scrambled to collect them, stacking them neatly, when one piece of paper stopped her cold. It wasn't a marketing brief. It wasn't a client proposal. It was a letter, handwritten, and at the top, in unmistakable looping cursive, were the words, "To whoever finds this, I'm sorry I never told you the truth." Lena's hands were shaking as she read it. By the time she reached the final line, her coffee had gone completely cold. The next morning, the office felt different. Lena couldn't explain it. The same fluorescent lights, the same burnt smell from the third-floor kitchen, the same Monday morning energy. But she kept watching Jordan. The easy laugh, the confident stride, the way Jordan could walk into any room and immediately own it. Does anyone else know? She kept thinking. Can they possibly know? She said nothing. For 3 weeks, she said absolutely nothing. But secrets, as anyone who's ever tried to hold one knows, are living things. They breathe, they grow, and eventually, always, inevitably, they find a way out. It was Marcus from accounting who finally cracked it open, though he didn't even realize what he'd done. He'd been digging through old archived files for an audit trail when he stumbled across a discrepancy in a 6-year-old expense report, a small one, barely worth noting, except that it led to another discrepancy, and another, and another. Each one on its own was nothing. Together they formed a map, and the map led somewhere nobody in that office was prepared to go. The emergency all-hands meeting was called on a Wednesday at 4 p.m. Nobody knew the agenda. Jordan walked in last, as usual, completely composed, setting a coffee cup down with the practiced ease of someone who had never once doubted themselves. CEO Patricia Vance stood at the head of the table. She didn't waste time. 6 years ago, Patricia began, her voice steady, when Jordan first applied to Meridian, we received a portfolio. Incredible work, groundbreaking campaigns, award-winning concepts. She paused. Work that we have recently discovered was entirely fabricated. The room went absolutely still. Jordan Ellis had never worked in marketing before joining this company. The portfolio was constructed using other people's work, sourced, altered, and presented as original. Every reference was a personal contact, coached to corroborate a fiction. Another pause. The real Jordan Ellis? A self-taught graphic designer from a small town in Ohio who was so desperate for a chance, so certain that the industry would never give them one, that they built an entire false identity to get through the door. Someone dropped a pen. The sound was enormous. Everyone turned to look at Jordan. And here is where the story stops being what you expected. Because Jordan wasn't pale, wasn't crumbling, wasn't scrambling for an excuse or a lawyer or an exit. Jordan was crying, not from shame, or not only from shame, but from something that looked unmistakably like relief. "I know," Jordan said quietly. "I know what I did was wrong. I've known every single day for 6 years." A breath. "But I also know what I built here was real. Every campaign, every client, every result, none of that was fake. I just needed someone to give me the first chance to prove it." What happened next divided people for months. Patricia Vance made a decision that surprised everyone. Jordan wasn't fired that day. Instead, an independent review was launched, a genuine audit of every piece of work Jordan had produced over 6 years. Clients were consulted, results were verified. The findings were, depending on who you asked, either completely irrelevant to the ethical violation or the most important part of the story. Every single campaign Jordan had led had outperformed projections, every single one. The real twist, the one nobody saw coming, wasn't the lie. It was the question the lie forced everyone to ask out loud for the first time. Why had the door been so impossible to open honestly in the first place? Jordan left Meridian, but not quietly and not in disgrace. 3 months later, Jordan launched a nonprofit dedicated to skills-based hiring, helping people without traditional credentials prove what they could actually do. The first donor, Patricia Vance.